Welcome, trendsetters. We are Alicia and Nicole from Positive Image. As salon owners, hairstylists, and business coaches, we're here to help you navigate the ever-changing landscape of the beauty industry and discover the secrets to creating a thriving salon business. So grab your favorite beverage, cozy up in your salon chair, and let's dive into the world of hair, style, and entrepreneurship together. Hey beauties, welcome to another podcast episode by us, Positive Image, Alicia and Nicole. We are so privileged today to have a guest, Julia Rago. Julia Rago is a senior sales business consultant at Liquid Luxury in Toronto. Welcome, Julia.
Thank you. This is my first podcast ever. I'm so nervous and excited, and I'm so happy and thrilled and privileged to be asked to do this. So thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I love that. Just be you.
Just be you.
That's all you need to do.
Yep. Yay for awkwardness. Here we go.
We embrace it.
And that's why we've been friends for so long.
Exactly. I guess a little bit of back history is Julie and I actually went to hair school together. I won't say the year, but we've known each other for a very long time. And Julia has supported me in the salon for almost longer than I've had the salon. Yeah. So it's been a very long time, but it's been such an amazing relationship. And I think I feel so fortunate as a salon owner to have such a good relationship with my sales rep that goes beyond just sales rep. And I feel so fortunate because I know I can ask you the questions that most salon owners don't know how to ask or don't even know how to use you to the best of their ability. So this is why you're here today, because we want other people to know how their sales rep can be their best ally, and they're not just there to sell you shampoo.
No. No, that's definitely part of it for sure. So my background before I get into more things is like you said, we went to George Brown together. I was a hairdresser, specifically a colorist. I was a salon owner. I had the opportunity to do television for 3 years. So I did 3 seasons of a makeover show. After that, it was time for a career switch because of my health. And I moved into more of a brand manager sort of position with the Colomer Group. So I was able to work with 3 different hair care lines and essentially be mentored under some sales consultants and business consultants with another distribution company that really helped mentor my career. And when I realized that my passion lied in making businesses grow and being an asset in every aspect for a hairdresser and salon owner, that was it. I decided that I was going to be a shampoo dealer.
I love that one. That's amazing. That's a great journey.
What would you say your role is as a sales consultant or rep? Like, what do you do?
So really my role is to help you reach your creative and professional goals. I'm here to act as a sounding board in your challenges, in your business, in your product selection. I serve as a cheerleader in your success. And I also want to connect people with new innovations. At my core, my approach is just to really be a true partner in your growth and your success. That's what my role is. That's what I do for a living. That's what brings me joy.
Would you say you're in the minority with that kind of line of thinking?
I hope not, to be honest. It's funny, how do you say your career really poorly, right? Like, and if you give like a poor definition of like what your role is as a job or a career, sometimes I think that maybe people get into consulting maybe for the wrong reasons, or they just they don't understand the importance that someone can have in this role for your actual business in the salon. So I would hope that people aren't just becoming reps and consultants just because it sounded like an easy job, because it's really not. It's really not sometimes.
Yeah, I wouldn't see it as an easy job personally. Would you say that you've definitely seen that echoing, because you've said you were mentored by some great people and that you've worked at different distributors. And so like how does that differ? Just like the different messaging of like what this rep job,
Hmm.
um, brand consultant is for, I guess, across the industry from what you've experienced.
I think across the industry, and I think it's the same thing as being a hairdresser or a salon owner, where sometimes people maybe just get into a job just because, and they just treat their things as a job just because. The people that mentored me really actually genuinely cared, and if they bled hairdressing, and I started in the hair community when I was 14 years old, so I really just want to echo that love language that was presented to me, that I can share with the people that I work with and communicate with, just to build a really strong hairdressing community.
What would you say is what maybe some things that people don't realize, which I think you've kind of already said a little bit, but maybe we can go in a bit deeper of what people don't realize you can actually offer the salon owners? Because
Hmm.
I think that, like you're saying, like not only do some people treat it as just a job, some salon owners also just treat it as you have just a job and you're
Absolutely.
just supposed to tell us the things and then we order the things and like
Yeah.
call it a day and we get the thing.
Yeah.
So like what else do maybe a lot of salon owners or new salon owners not realize the benefits are with their reps, consultants?
I think the key difference is knowing that there's always a customer service side to what part of my role is, obviously, but we also have customer service people for, the everyday things in terms of placing an order or having something picked up or asking the basic questions. Um, what I like to do is think of myself as a support system, to be here to offer professional advice. Um, when you're without a rep sometimes, or if you're only just dealing with customer service sometimes, it can mean that you can be on your own when it comes to navigating deals, promotions, reward programs. Those are things that you can definitely manage. But with all of the other things that you have on your plate as hairdressers and salon owners, like, why not take advantage of having an extra resource just to make it easier for you? So that's really what I try to do, and that's what I would hope that a lot of hairdressers would appreciate. You know how busy you are, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a common thing of the recognizing that there is a lot of things that a salon owner is managing.
Hmm.
And definitely I think anyone can admit that anyone who their primary task of sales being is that some get that and some don't.
Of
So I think
course.
that's great that there's definitely that difference. And also maybe other people will hear that and then they'll proceed to make amazing changes.
I hope so. It's funny, like, I think sometimes, and I don't know if this was one of the points that we were going to discuss. I think that a lot of times, the title of my role often makes people think that I'm just here to sell something and be pushy, but it's not my goal. I hope the perception shifts, and I'm being seen as a partner who's here to help and grow business.
I think that was something like I know as an owner, when you have people come into the salon to it feels like they just wanna sell you something, like, "You're being successful, you're carrying these products, why don't you buy from me?" Like, "I would rather get your commission than you give it to somebody else." That's what it feels like. as a salon owner. And what I've realized with you, Julia, is like that's not a relationship. Like
No.
it's a bonus of our relationship. And
Mhm.
that's I think helps curb some of my purchases towards you because it's like the non-pushy salesman. Like I would rather
Mhm.
give the non-pushy salesman the money rather than the pushy salesman. And it's the relationship at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it's funny, like, I think back to when I was a hairdresser, and I remember being the default person for the salon owner, and I was that liaison between the sales rep and the salon owner because that person didn't wanna make those decisions and didn't want to hear about, the newest shade that was going to be launched and this lightener and all of the things. So, I became that person who had to listen to the sales pitch, and when I owned my own salon, I didn't have the time for those types of people to come in. While I certainly appreciate new innovation and new products and new technology, if I was back to back with six heads of highlights, I didn't have time for someone just to kind of like mosey on in with like a bottle of hairspray. And I think,
Definitely.
yeah, I think that that's where it can sometimes get really tough. And I think that one of the key things is like when you're walking in anywhere, you have to decide what type of conversation you want to have and what that exchange can be and what it can lead to. And I think that like when you have a role like this to develop business, obviously there's sales that's attached to it. But I think what you also really have to focus on is making sure that you treat each individual business as its own individual business. And the person who might just buy a $50 pound of lightener from you might translate into business down the road, or it might not. But being a genuine and authentic person is still hopefully who I am at my core and why you're why you're going in there in the first place, right?
Yeah, that's great. That makes me think of a very different kind of question. So I would say Nicole and I predominantly do our ordering.
Yes.
I would say we both get a little bit of support from our teams, but I don't think either of us would ever say that we just have our reps talk to someone from the team. And so I'm curious that you've mentioned this and you're saying that you were that person when you were
Hmm.
at a salon, and then when you owned, you also didn't want to talk to them. And so I'm
Hmm.
assuming you put somebody else in place.
Yes.
I'd love to know more about that, especially being a podcast that's geared to majority salon
Absolutely.
owners, of like what is entailed in, like, what are the key points that someone would need to do to set that up? Because I think that's a really valuable bit of information that a salon owner might not have really thought of, like that they can actually delegate that task.
Oh, absolutely. I think that it's important to have important conversations first and foremost. So whether that's happening with the salon owner and the business consultant, or if you've got a third person in that mix, um, you still need to have those conversations. So I don't want to dismiss it and say that I wasn't having those conversations.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying this. How do we help us?
When I had my business, I was lucky enough to work with my younger sister, and my younger sister, who's almost 8 years my junior, was really great at filtering through the important details that needed to be communicated to me that couldn't because I was behind the chair. And as you know, when you have a business, it's not a 9 to 5 thing, it's an all the time thing. So she was able to relay the important points for me to be able to help run my business more efficiently. And I think that even as a salon owner to a sales rep type of conversation, it's just the idea of that active listening and having that active response and having someone just to help be a support. Does that
Right?
answer the question? Or did I go off on a rant?
I think for the most part,
Oh,
I guess I think what you're saying is if a salon owner wanted to decide to delegate those key pieces to someone on their team, it would be someone who is really good or has shown with their clients that they're really good at quick communication, quick and
Absolutely.
effective communication. You're capable of listening to one person and then communicating to another person. Kind of that consultation. So this is what you said to me. This is what I heard. Here you go is the Coles knows of what you said.
Absolutely.
And then I guess also I'm kind of putting this in. I would assume someone who's good with understanding that there is a budget and that you can't say yes to everything.
Oh, and I think also too, it's more of a conversation about like what are the key and relevant points of information as opposed to like let's spend all the money, right? We
Yeah.
don't necessarily want that person being that decision maker if they're not trustworthy. But to have someone else's input sometimes is helpful.
100%. I think both Nicole and I, as solo owners, were like, yes.
One of the questions that I've had, because again, we have a lot of like people coming in, and how would you suggest that as a salon owner, how would we approach somebody who's a sales rep who's being very persistent that they want to work with you?
Oh,
Don't really like them, like you just don't vibe with them, or you just want them to go away, but you're just too nice just to say the words like, please stop coming into my shop and wasting my time.
Nicole, are we talking about setting boundaries? Is this like the classic sales rep that like won't read the room and they just show up on like a busy Saturday morning? They're like, "Hi, I'm here." Is that okay? Yeah. I mean, I think sometimes you just need to y- you need to reset the expectations, right? So I think that it's very important in life, period, is that we need to clearly communicate, whether that's like in person, text, phone, email, what your availability is and how you prefer to be contacted. Full stop. And if that person can't read the room, then you've done your part. They need they need to do theirs. It's tough. I mean, I've been that person and I've been on the other side of it. So I see it all the time. And I think that as a person with experience, as a seasoned salesperson, um, I like to share my approach of how I like to do business. And hopefully that aligns with what works best for you as a salon owner. And if it's almost like the same idea as like when you don't click with a client who's sitting in your chair, you have to, keep things professional and cordial, but it's just an interaction. And I think we've all been in situations where someone's energy just doesn't align with yours. And that's okay to say.
Yeah. I love that, and I love the idea of, like, thinking outside of the box for owners, and if there is any, sales reps listening about this too, like, one of the things that actually Julie and I do is we take it out of the salon. We go for lunch, and we try and go for lunch maybe well, ideally, it'd be nice once a month, but, like, every other month.
Coming up very soon. I can't wait.
Yes, it is. Julie recognizes how busy my time, and I recognize that, like, I don't wanna waste her time
Mhm.
to pop into the salon. And so finding out a way, like I love that, whether it's like communicate with me over email. I'm in Tuesdays is my admin day. Try and pop in between this day and this day. Or you know what? Let's try and schedule a coffee date every quarter. Whatever works best for you, but having that backbone and most salon owners have learned to grow one if they didn't have one before, and I know I've had to learn how to grow one, and having those hard conversations makes it very easy now as a seasoned salon owner. But in the beginning, I'd hide in the back room and just tell my staff to like, I'm not here. I don't want to deal with it. But there are better ways.
There are. I think of one person in particular who has had sales reps legitimately show up on a Saturday morning and just had no idea that would be the busiest and most inconvenient time to come in to start selling or start pitching. And this person that I'm thinking of in particular will just come out and say, "What are you doing here? This is the worst time. You need to leave. We can chat by text at another time. And this particular person has been gifted things by, let's say, some of my competitors, and has politely declined and said, "Thank you, but no, thank you," and that's okay. But yeah, sometimes it's the reading the room part. I think maybe comes with experience. So please be kind to the brand new person who may not get it. They're trying real hard. Sometimes it takes a little while, but directing them and communicating is always key.
Can you switch, like, if you really don't get along with your sales rep, can you contact the company and say, "Send me somebody else," or is that, like, taboo in your industry?
Oh, no, absolutely. Nicole, though, is this your way of breaking up with me?
No, no, not
Oh.
even.
No, absolutely. I think that if things aren't working with your sales rep, you can always reach out to a sales manager and request a different representative. You can be direct and just let them know that you're not the right fit. I'm not the right fit for doing business together, and they should pick up on that message. It's good for everyone if something's not working to communicate it. I've been in situations where I have felt that my my personality or experience didn't align with what someone needed in their shop, and I've told them, hopefully nicely, and said, I don't think we're the right fit." And I think that's okay.
Yeah, I think that's fair too. I mean, I don't know if I feel like we've mentioned it on one episode or something that I don't have the same rep that I started
Okay.
with the same distributor.
Okay. And was it an awkward conversation?
It was a request that was made.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
Totally
Because it
fair.
doesn't always work out and it isn't always exactly like you're saying. It isn't always the right match and it's not serving anyone to
Absolutely.
stay with that. Whereas now I love my rep. They're great.
Good.
Yeah.
That's great.
So what would be helpful for salon owners or new salon owners to know about how to work with a business consultant?
I think that if you're new to the business, don't hesitate to ask questions. We're here to support you. Think of us as your cheerleaders. Um, think of us as being genuinely invested in your success. If you're brand new to the business, my best advice that I can give you is if you have a budget, be mindful of your budget and stick to it. And don't let anyone, clients, staff, family, sales reps, pressure you into overspending. And transparency about what you can afford will help you make smart decisions. One of the things that I wish sometimes salon owners would also understand is that while I have a very vast network, my role is to help you grow your business, but I'm not here to recruit staff. And I've had to draw a hard line in the sand with that a number of times. I'm here for guidance, but I'm not a recruiter. I see you
I'm
giggling.
sure. Yeah, because I'm sure it's always like, well, if you know anyone.
Oh, absolutely. And
But it's just awkward because then like you work with those other salons
yeah, it can be a little
and you're not usually
uncomfortable.
having like random side conversations.
No, it's not like, people like run up to me and be like, "Hey, I hate where I work. Put me
Yeah.
somewhere." No, it doesn't. That doesn't happen.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, I've, y used, and I hate that word, but I don't know what else to word to you. I know in the beginning, I would ask you that question, and I haven't in a very long time, but generally, at the end of the day, it's like, "I had this person approach me.
Yeah.
What do you know about them?"
And you know what? I am more than happy to help provide answers or information if I have them. Um, I never want to be perceived as someone who is providing a reference if I haven't been asked to provide a reference, like as a hairdresser being asked by a future employee. And it's a small industry sometimes, right? So, like, it's one thing if, like, someone says to me, like Nicole, and says, "Hey, have you heard of so and so, this hairdresser? Have you seen their work before?" then of course I'll be like, yeah, I saw this person's work. I saw the balayage that they did. They were just at an education thing I saw online. I'll answer those questions. I just won't be a headhunter. That's all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love
I
it.
think that's a very reasonable boundary. And I think that the other points that you included as well, especially about budget, are key. And I think it is very easy to get persuaded
Oh, absolutely.
by others to whether it's your rep or your team or even just your own like, ooh, it's shiny
Oh, absolutely. And
to want to spend over your budget and then you're in deep into trouble before you know it.
oh, for sure. I've seen some beautiful salons all across the city, and I've seen people spend thousands of dollars just on wallpaper, not marketing, not budgeting, not product, not team incentives. So like that's it. It can be it can be just really easy to sort of fall into those traps, right? And when you're looking for advice, I'm always here as a support function. Um, one of the things that I will always say when I'm meeting with someone brand new is that I am a partner in your success, but it's not my name who's writing the checks. It's your name on the door. It's your name on the checks. It's not my business, but I'm here for you.
So my last question, and with the tariffs coming up,
Mm.
how do you, as the business consultant, help salons navigate, and how much do you think that's going to affect your industry?
Ugh, tariffs. Uh, I think tariffs have been on the front of mind of everyone since that announcement was made, however long ago it was now. And the idea that it's just literally just looming over our heads is not great. We had an emergency Zoom meeting last week as a team and as a company. So Liquid Luxuries is Ontario, Quebec, and the four eastern provinces. So that's a very large network. But who we also do business with in terms of our manufacturer partners, we're also part of a distribution chain in the US, essentially, with how things just kind of, ship, and it's part of global supply chain. So the tariff question is a really, really, really tricky one. And I don't think that there's a one size fits all answer when we look at hair care that's manufactured in Canada. There's not a lot. But not only that, Alicia, I think that you had made a point on Facebook the other day, and I think I probably chimed in on a little soapbox about it. Because like with global supply chains, you might be made in Canada, you might be produced in Canada, but you might be getting raw ingredients from Italy or Thailand or wherever the case is. So I think that the beauty industry can get a little ugly with what's happening, and I think there's just a lot of confusion and a lot of verbiage that is being used that might not be being used correctly. So it's going to be a little wonky for a while. So like for example, I sell a lot of one particular brand that is an Australian brand. And that Australian brand, some of it's manufactured in Australia, some of it's manufactured in California. Their aerosols are actually manufactured in Toronto. Um, but then we ship everything back and forth from there to the US to come back. So this will be very complicated, and hopefully this won't be a problem. I think that it's maybe a distraction for some other things. I don't want to go too far into like what my political thoughts are, but hopefully by the time that this airs, it'll all be done. It'll be okay.
Ooh, that'll be nice. I think that is the thing. It is complicated and it is about doing a little bit of research and investigation, and also talking to your reps to find out like
Absolutely.
what matters, what doesn't matter. And again, maybe it just will all.
We'll see what the future holds. I think that it's such thank you for answering that as eloquently as you did, because I don't even know as an owner how to navigate this and what to expect. So it is every day you just kind of have to sit there and hold your breath and just be like, okay,
Mhm.
what's it going to present? And just know that we're all in it together and nobody
Absolutely.
wants to see the prices increase, double in the next month or so, but we need to figure out what we can do to keep things
Absolutely.
cost.
I think your hair color is really your biggest source of money generating in the salon, not necessarily selling bottles of shampoo. When we think about like what the percentage of business is that's actually coming from our retail, it's typically not as big as it is with what's coming from our service dollars from chemical.
That's a great point. And for me, like I honestly haven't been overly considering anything because I do know, I don't know for certain, but I have asked or had a conversation before, and it was mentioned that we have things directly shipped.
Tell me how you feel about this. Like, are you having clients asking you about product being made in Canada, or it's like
I
they just
did
they
actually. I
really
had one, he's a very political guy.
okay?
Uh, and so he did ask, he's like, so like what's gonna happen? What are you gonna do? What's the game plan? And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And he was like, well, isn't this stuff from the US? And I was like, no, it's from Italy. There might be something, but no.
Dear kind sir, please stock up on all of your hair care now before the tariffs come in.
Yeah.
Take all of your waxes, pomades, shaving creams, and everything, just in case.
Yeah. He had bought stuff from me before, but he doesn't buy much from me because price point is a factor for him.
That's fair.
And even when he does come in, we do like a 15-minute dry cut every like 3-4 months or something.
So
So
how
he's not optimal clientele.
got you? So how many clients, let's say like out of all of your book last week, how many how many clients actually asked? Because I feel like we're concerned about it as an industry, as like distribution and as salon owners, like we're nervous of this. But I don't think the end user is actually thinking about hair care yet. I think they're thinking
No.
of the grocery store.
Yeah. I think I had maybe like 3 to 5 clients who shared with me that
Mhm,
they looked at every label and they saw the social or news posts about the difference between made in Canada versus product of Canada.
mhm.
And so I thought that was really great. I was like, oh, that's cool. You're watching the news, you're getting information somewhere, you learned a thing. This is
Yeah,
amazing. No one's really asked about the product
yeah,
though. And I don't know if that's because they don't realize or if it's because I think people are just okay paying for the price of the beauty, especially because we do have a higher price point. They're
I
not
think
really asking those questions so much.
yeah. And Nicole, I don't know how you feel about this. I think that like what's going to happen is like people will make the decisions where they can.
Mhm.
And then where it may be inconvenient or if they have their favorites, then they're going to have their favorites. Like I'm not going to trade in my car for a Canadian made car. There's no such thing as like a fully Canadian car.
Yeah.
Um, but I might not go out and buy that, can of Budweiser and wear a America t-shirt. I don't know.
Yeah. I think what we're gonna see, because we do carry a Canadian brand, is we're gonna see an increase in AG and a decrease in
That
Kevin
could be.
Murphy. And if you guys have to increase the prices, that might also
Mhm.
extend that as well, but who knows?
Who
Like,
knows?
I don't know. I think I'm going to the grave with High Dreaming
Well, and
Wash
that's
because
exactly it, right? Like, someone might make that switch that one time because, they have to make economic decisions, right? Um,
and bring back the leaders.
I'm
Like,
working on it for you. Another salon that I do business with had even mentioned the idea of just using bags instead of like the hard plastic. It's great that it's recyclable and made from recycled packaging, but like have it in bags, right? So those things are happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be really cool to just, I don't know, get people thinking about things
I
for
agree.
sure. I'm sure you're in all the hairdresser groups too. And I was just like,
Only one.
only
Yours.
one? Oh my gosh. They're all just like having frantic meltdowns. And I'm like,
Hmm.
we all need to breathe.
Yeah.
First off, this is not going to happen tomorrow. Even if even if it happens tomorrow, it won't happen tomorrow because
Mhm.
you pre-order
Yeah.
large amounts of product so that you can ship whatever you need to
Hmm.
all the different salons that you supply to.
Yeah. Oh,
So it
and
takes time for that to,
for example, like our holiday purchases for 2025 were probably done in November of 2024, December 2024. So
yeah.
like those things are like
So we
so
won't even really see it this year,
no.
realistically.
I
Yeah.
would hope not. I mean, I'm not in procurement,
Yeah.
so I am repeating the things that I'm being told. So don't take it as Bible, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think we're going to be okay. I think that also too, like with what consumer behavior is that clients are looking for they're looking for solutions for their hair that are multi-use and not single use. So the idea of like having like an all-in-one sort of styler that will spike for you as opposed to like the one single function, I don't know, texturizing spray or something like that, right? Unless you can teach your client how to use something in multiple ways. And that was one of the things that happened in 2008, just with the what was it actually called? I think it was called the Great Recession of 2008. Beauty went a little ugly, and it became the trend of just the multi-purpose item.
it's a great tip that you've said about like we as hairstylists and owners maybe need to look at our inventory and stock and say like, okay, we might not get the quantity of sales, but if we can look at like what products are going to be functional for a client that we can focus on. And yes, it is a little bit more, but this can replace this, this, and this. And then once things sort of settle down, become the normal, then the client will start purchasing more and more
Absolutely.
products too.
Recommendations are a huge thing. You both know that. And I think that also too, like with the digital era that we're in and how consumer behaviors changed with people ordering things online, the idea that you are recommending and educating and reframing ideas for them to understand something's importance or irrelevancy on the other side. I think that's key. And I think the trend will be that, but the trend will also have more of an emphasis on in salon service. One of the things that we'll be launching is a Korean stem cell treatment very soon. And the idea is that like scalp spas or scalp facials are massive. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with our clients that are coming in to get services done.
You've been such an amazing wealth of information and answered questions even greater than I think what Alicia and I expected this to be. So thank you so much for coming. We are so happy to be popping your cherry today.
Um, anytime, I love doing things like this. I think that they're so much fun. So I'll come back if you ever want me to. I'll just show up at 9:00 in the morning on a Saturday. And you're like, hey,
That's amazing. I still think that was the best part.
I love you, but no.
Just dead. Just dead, the thought of someone coming at that time. Anyways, yes, no, that was great.
amazing.
Quick, Julia, how do we find you?
How do you find me? Oh my goodness. I available on Instagram. You can always follow me at Julia Liquid Luxuries. Or at Liquid Luxuries is our Instagram page and handle as well. So if I'm not someone, if I'm not your person, whether that's, by geography or personality, we do have, I guess a team of 15 now. So we're always here and we're always happy to help. But yeah, please reach out to me. I love people and I love this business. So even if we don't do business, but you've got a quick question, feel free to find me on Instagram.
Perfect. So, if the listener wants, you have any questions that you want to pose to Julia, if you want to hear more information about how a sales rep can support you, please reach out to us. Let us know. All of the ways that you can contact us are in the show notes. And have a great week.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. Take this knowledge and just keep developing yourself. And hey, we want to hear from you too. Join the conversation using our hashtag #PositiveImagePodcast. Share your thoughts, questions, and success stories. Who knows? We might just feature you on an upcoming episode. Don't keep us a secret. Tag your friends too. Want to keep learning? Check out our show notes. Find us on Instagram at hello.positiveimage and be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode filled with inspiration and insights.